Hey, I hope you're doing okay. Watch this with me real quick.
You're being uncharacteristically non-hyperverbal.
It's because he's already made up his mind.
Oh, you know me so well.
Keep this in the back of your mind while I tell you why we're here. First of all, Steve was wrong. Let's just get that out of the way. About the Accords, in a way, and definitely about Bucky. Secondly, I haven't watched this movie in probably 5 years. It came out in 2016, which was 100 years ago at this point. And although I skip a lot of Marvel projects, so my picture of current Marvel is a little spotty, I immediately could tell one of the major differences in quality between those older films and the new ones, and that is dialogue. Now, we're not going to laser focus on that in this video, but hopefully we will later. The dialogue is important for my point, though. Now, we can't go through Tony's entire history, and we don't have to. If you've seen the Ironman trilogy of films, his issues with his father are easy to see and simple to digest. Abandonment, rejection, a lack of closeness, a tragedy he doesn't know the truth of yet, resentment, guilt, there's a lot there. Civil War even has him simulating the last time he would see his parents on a stage in front of a bunch of MIT students. He's literally walking through painful memories, trying to put the past to rest, trying to improve himself and grow into a man that is truly worthy of Pepper, who he's on a break with, and is truly respected and seen as an equal by this man. Yes, all of the Avengers films revolve around the relationship of Captain America and Tony Stark. It comes to a head in this film, which is a Captain America film, but it's also an Avengers movie. One where the opposing, philosophies of the two leaders cause a civil war. Mommy and Daddy are fighting, and the kids take sides. Now, of course, Cap and Iron Man aren't literally married. But they are in a relationship, and relationships require give and take. And give and take are only possible between people who trust each other. The Avengers have been holding each other together for a while. It's clear they care for each other as people, as a team, and care about making the world a better place. The only difference is the how. The goal isn't what brings out a person's individuality. It's the how they go about making that thing happen. And it's the how that will break this team apart. It's what almost prevented it from getting together in the first place. This fight has been a long time coming, but every time it has, it's been delayed by a threat. But not this time. This time, the fight is themselves. There's no avoiding it, but there also can't be a winner. Steve is a man that Tony truly respects by the time Civil War happens, almost like a big brother, or a rival, or because of how his own father idolized Captain America, some sort of a twice or thrice removed quasi-father figure. Cap's bravery, lack of ulterior motives, straight shooting, salt of the earth, land of the free, home of the brave, clear eyes, full heart, can't lose aesthetic is extremely appealing. It's also easy to rally around. He is a natural leader, but he needs to be reined in. Tony is the one with the real experience with war. Now, that seems ridiculous on its face, but hear me out. Cap has been a chess piece his entire life, but Tony has seen the board. He's equipped those chess pieces with the weaponry they use. Cap has seen the broken bodies, the smoke, the blood, but he knows nothing of the machinery of war, of the machinations of those who wage it. Not every battle is black and white, and there's always a cost to coming in and saving the day. Doing what's right doesn't exist in a vacuum, and neither do the Avengers. Tony's bill for unilaterally doing what's right, literally, he's proven right about the suit of armor around the world thing when the Mad Titan comes knocking on their doorsteps. His bill comes due when he accidentally creates Ultron. His folly wasn't the goal, which was protecting the Earth. His folly was the how, which is informed by the why. The how was on his own, behind his team's back, in secret. He thought he knew better than everyone else. Resolving to make that noble sacrifice in New York, being spared by chance, left him changed forever. And as a billionaire, former playboy, and philanthropist, that also happens to be one of the smartest people In the world, he didn't need to wait for permission to change the lives of everyone on the planet if it was for the better. The why he needed to create a suit of armor around the world was knowing eventually the Avengers would fail on their own.
You could have saved.
Funnily, he managed to rectify his initial mistake by bringing in additional people to help him create Vision. And they barely ended up saving the day. Narrowly avoiding an iceberg deserves no credit when you set the original course. Sokovia was the fault of Tony Stark. Now, the incident in Lagos wasn't Scarlet Witch's fault, but it is a symptom of a larger problem. Working alone, without oversight or permission, calling all the shots, hoping for the best, and when the worst inevitably happens, when people get hurt, just promising to do better. By never submitting to some higher authority, the only accountability you can take for your actions is self-reflection. That's not good enough anymore. Concessions have to be made. The world won't allow the Avengers to do what they want without oversight. Without laws, there can't be consequences. The world no longer trusts the Avengers to do what's right, to act within reason, and the Accords are the consequence. If the Avengers want to operate worldwide, then they should have to answer to the world. The UN is comprised of 193 of the 195 countries on Earth, and 117 of those want the Avengers brought to heel. Remember what I said about trust.
How are you guys planning together?
We'll lose. And we'll do that together too.
Tony hid his Ultron plans from Steve. He hid his involvement in the Sokovia Accords. And he hid the fact that he'd agreed to Scarlet Witch being house arrested for the same reason. He didn't trust Steve to see it the same way as him. The same things he admires about Steve are the same things that ultimately drive them apart. The conversation after the amazing highway chase sequence is the beginning of the end.
We may not be perfect, but the safest hands are still our own.
If we don't do this now, it's going to be done to us later.
Tony comes to him, opens up with a little speech, but importantly, he basically tells Steve he understands exactly where he's coming from. He has seen things Steve's way, and the pen is just there as a symbol of trust. Pick up the pen and trust me, Steve. And when Steve finds out that Scarlet Witch, sweet and innocent Wanda Maximoff, is under house arrest, he's not surprised.
Vision's keeping her company.
Oh, God, Tony, every time I think
What
you
is
see
100
things the right
acres
way.
with a...
Steve doesn't do backroom deals, he doesn't politic, and he doesn't throw friends under the bus or leave them behind. He gives the pen back. Same old Tony. The two of them keep butting heads as they try to hug, and it's frustrating the hell out of them both. But there's an extra man in the equation this time. Bucky Barnes, Steve's oldest friend. And because of him, all hell breaks loose. The airport battle is just Tony showing up with the sword after Steve refused the pen. Everyone's hand is being forced.
I'm trying to keep you from tearing the Avengers apart.
Once again, Tony tells him what the deal is.
You're gonna turn Barnes over, you're gonna come with us. Now, because it's us.
He wants to protect their family, regardless of the hoops he knows they'll have to jump through. And Steve wants the freedom to do whatever he believes is right. So they fight because they can't both win. And I noticed for the first time just how many times they say "I'm sorry" to each other in this film.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Not "I'm sorry this happened," but more like "I'm sorry neither of us could back down. I'm sorry both of our hands have been forced here." And Tony is feeling the most sorry. Rhodes gets hurt, and he's possibly paralyzed. He dragged a teenager into the fight and almost got him hurt. Thunderbolt Ross was clearly just looking to test out his floating Supermax prison, so now he gets a front row seat to see his friends and co-workers in blue jumpsuits behind prison bars. He wanted to work within the system. That much is clearly correct, but the system doesn't really want to work with him. They're even willing to kill an honest-to-goodness American hero on sight. Now, Steve and Bucky have gone to stop the doctor that has been twisting them into knots since the beginning of the film, and Tony joins them as an admission of his mistakes and a sign of good faith. Now, I'm sure Baron Zemo intended for the airport battle to happen here, and honestly, had that happened, somebody probably would have gotten killed. I swear I'll let this play out, but just look at the acting. Of course, RDJ and Evans are talented, but this scene is only possible because of the characters they're playing. We've had time to feel this, for this confrontation to even matter. Once again, remember what I said about trust.
Did you know?
Now, what do you think that means? Don't fuck with me, man. You know what I'm saying. Did you know my parents were fucking murdered and you didn't tell me?
I didn't know it was him. I just did you know. Yes.
Look at that, man. That is a reaction of pure betrayal and anger. Because Cap has been choosing to be selfish this entire film, and now he has done it again. At best, he can claim he is protecting Tony, but Tony is not a child, and he fucking deserves to know how his parents died, especially if it was like this. It has made him who he is, and he has never forgotten. He recognizes the road the crash occurs on immediately, with no other context.
I know that road.
A crash that occurred 20 years ago, and everything he's done to overcome that point in his life has been undone in a minute. The body language really works because, once again, we've sat with these characters before, and it's saying, okay, if that's how it is. There's something I find interesting. After Tony prevents Bucky's escape and they all tumble down to the floor of the silo, after Steve picks himself up from the ground, he doesn't say sorry. Unlike everyone else in the film so far, he tells the truth.
This isn't gonna change what happened.
If I let you get what you want, it won't change a damn thing. It doesn't save me, it doesn't save the Avengers, and I won't get out of your way for you to get revenge. What kind of man am I when it comes down to it? Have I sacrificed too much of my personal life to do this thing that I am, in a way, addicted to?
Never stopped. Because the truth is, I don't want to stop.
Can they coexist? Have I changed? Am I in the right here? Tony doesn't ask forgiveness for what he's about to do. He doesn't say sorry. He tells the truth.
I don't care. He killed my mom.
The fight is brutal, especially by Marvel standards, because the punches have emotional weight. Nobody can win here. And there's a lot of attention to detail as well. From Bucky slowly rolling to the side so he can grab Tony's ankle at the right moment, to Steve crushing Tony's helmet face mask and pulling it off, forcing Tony to move his hands up to protect his face so he could smash the shield into his chest and disable the suit. Tony calls for him as he helps Bucky to his feet, and Steve stops and drops the shield to the ground. For better or worse, Steve doesn't turn on his friends, but he does choose favorites. In the aftermath, Tony receives a letter where he does get the I'm sorry he deserves from Steve, in the form of a letter, and a symbolic gesture in the form of a phone, an olive branch, an admission that they are stronger together than apart and that they need each other, a reaffirmation of his previous promise to Tony. And even though they're apart, no matter what battles they face, even if they lose, they'll do it together.